Well, it's not often that Kentucky is a stop for national politicians, but this week was an exception. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance making an appearance in Lexington, though only a select group got to hear from him. The fundraiser was hosted by Joe and Kelly Craft and co-hosted by Congressman Andy Barr and others. Tickets for the event started at $2,500 per person and went up to $100,000 per couple.
Well, this is pretty common to have private events and public events, and this is an effort to raise funds to make sure that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump have the resources to communicate. They don't have the benefit of earned media a lot. They have to get on TV in those 7 swing states.
Now, Congressman Barr said that this is Kentucky's way of giving the campaign those resources. Now, I'm assuming here that at some point in both of your political careers, y'all have likely been in the room for a fundraiser or two at some point. So, Senator Thomas, let's begin with you here. Generally, what are these events like?
Well, this is clearly a fundraising trip for the Trump-Vance ticket. I mean, they came here, they met with some donors. I don't know how many, and they raised money, and then J.D. Vance got back on his plane and left. It's just another fundraising event. Not any effort to reach out to the people of Kentucky or to Kentucky voters. Just really stop, raise some cash, and then move forward. It's happened before here in Kentucky, so
yeah,
that's what it is.
Senator Thayer, I mean, how do you see these types of events?
It's typical. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Kamala Harris came to Kentucky to do the same thing. I mean, Trump's going to go to California and blue states and raise money. Harris is going to go to red states and raise money. I mean, there are Republicans and Democrats in red states and blue states. Look, there are 6 or 7 swing states. I don't think North Carolina is a swing state. I think there are 6 swing states. Swing voters, a handful of swing voters, probably less than 200,000 people in 6 states are going to decide who the next president of the United States is. But they are going to go to other places to raise money to get their message out in those states. I've been in the room for some of them. I wasn't at the Senator Vance fundraiser, but I was at the Donald Trump one 8 years ago that Joe and Kelly Craft hosted. I've been to one with President George W. Bush. I go way back. I was at one with George Herbert Walker Bush. And there's a lot of Secret Service. One time I defied Secret Service and got President Trump's autograph from my daughter. And that was pretty funny. I didn't get arrested. And he was very willing. I've got a picture of him signing an autograph to my daughter using my back as a board to sign it on. So that was kind of cool. You often have to wait in line a while and go through various Secret Service protocols. But it's fairly typical for candidates from both parties to go to safe states and raise money, and to go to states that they have no chance of carrying and raise money. There are Democrats here in Kentucky who I'm sure would love to give to Harris. There are Republicans in California who would love to give to Trump.
Well, I partly bring up the entire topic in the first place because I'm curious, what impression does it give the common voter who are not going to ever likely be part of events like this? And generally, is it something they'd even want to be a part of? Is it the rally atmosphere they would probably enjoy versus this atmosphere, which could be described for some as a Comic-Con for rich people?
Well, I think voters would prefer the rally atmosphere. I agree with most of what Senator Thayer is saying, except for North Carolina. Harris will win North Carolina this year. And isn't it interesting, Bodie, how when we're looking at the final days of the campaign, how we see Kamala Harris in Arizona, in North Carolina, in southern Georgia, in Nevada, in states that Donald Trump has to win, has to win to be successful. And Kamala Harris is going to win every one of those 4 states.
Well, to be fair, Reggie, those are the states the election's going to be decided in. Both candidates are going to go to those swing states. I believe Donald Trump's going to win North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, and Pennsylvania, and maybe Michigan and Wisconsin like he did 8 years ago, and be the 47th president of the United States. But to be fair to President Trump, he has come to Kentucky numerous times for rallies. I've attended all 3 of them that were open to the general public. He did one in Richmond for Congressman Andy Barr. He did one in Lexington for Governor Matt Bevin, and he did one right after he was elected president in Louisville. I've been to all of them, and everybody got to go. And he's the first president, Democrat or Republican, who's done anything like that during the 30-some years that I've lived in Kentucky. I mean, he's a populist, and he does go to places that he doesn't really need to go. I mean, he's going to get 62 to 65% of the vote here in Kentucky. And I'd bet $100 on that right now with Reggie if he'd take my bet.
Well, I'm not going to take that bet, but as you know from when we had our very first meeting here, I told you then, back in May, before all the changes that we've seen, that Donald Trump will not crack 60%.
62%, take the over.
We will find out in November.
I've seen polling.
All right. More ahead still on Red, White, and Bluegrass this morning.